What's about to happen was always going to happen. What comes after the end of the world? You think you're in control? Do you believe you're the hero?
I have a role to play now. I'm gonna save the fucking world.
D and Davis Westworld Flip. I'm Kenneth Davis. He's Demaz Spurl Rose, and he is Ryan Bukoveski, our executive producer of this show and everything D and Davis. And he holds us down, even though he's look at him. He's you don't see his waist, but he's whoring right now.
Is Ryan
looking at me?
Is Ryan our Clementine?
For sure, Ryan's our Clement. Definitely.
And at the end, he come out slashing,
that's a good one.
And that's ironic because I hate clementines.
But see, Clementine has that tinge of just how bad the world is to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you can feel how it's a sadness to her. And Ryan kind of has a little bit of that sadness to her.
Okay. Not good enough to be an orange.
actually, I prefer clementines.
Not me.
If I had a choice. Yeah.
D, break the tie.
I like both.
No, you got to break it. Which one do you prefer?
Orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, this episode is Crisis Theory. It is the last episode of season 3. It opens with Dolores talking to herself, and she mentions that she's died many times, but this time she will write it herself. And this is where Dolores, it comes back to where she's still laying next to the EMP. One of the henchmen, also the henchman is there, and I think we got a question that was answered that D put out earlier that was really good. D said that perhaps Dolores killed Charlotte. I think we know that Sherrock killed Charlotte now. Because that dude, I think that's the main henchman that we see is the guy that comes out of the gate when Charlotte truck blows up. The guy that's
who?
So the henchman that like this new henchman that's like the main guy of Sherrock.
Oh yes.
That's the guy that comes from the gate. So it was, and then even in it when Charlotte's talking, she doesn't say you killed me. She basically just like you plan for us all to die. We'll get to that, but she did plan for them all to die.
Yeah, they did.
All right. So Sherrock's henchman finds Dolores and Maeve. Dolores' pearl has been removed by Caleb. The henchman, I already said that. I believe it's the same guy that's outside of Charlotte's home. We move over to William, and he's with Bernard, and he's got a gun pointing at Bernard and Ashley. They begin to try to stop him. William shoots Ashley in the chest. Bernard hits the switch and gets gangster. He super muffs William into the future. Ed Harris look real old right there. Go ahead, D.
Wait a minute. Stop right there. So, one thing that threw me off about that particular scene, when he started talking to, what was his name, the guy that came back, took off the police mask?
Lawrence.
He didn't hit a switch. And he was just talking like he was fine.
But remember what he said. He said, remember yourself.
I know that, but that's typically...
You're right. You're totally right. He never...
he never switched back.
But he said, remember yourself. But initially he didn't switch back because he thought it was on. Remember when them cops came out, he was like, he was about to shoot the thing. We'll get to that part.
Okay.
All right, so the Metro, as D just said, Metro PD pulls up in this huge wagon. William flees, which is just ridiculous. This old man just gets up and starts fleeing and they just let him go. Bernard is about to set it off when a dematched Lawrence asked him if it was nice to see an old friend. We know that's the catchphrase that Dolores keeps saying when she meets him. She did it when she was Martin. After hearing that, Bernard knows that Lawrence is a Dolores copy. Bernard details Dolores put something in his mind and he doesn't want to play a part in this. Dolores details that he's playing the most important part. Lawrence gives Bernard a case. Lawrence tells Bernard that he has to go see her and gives him a sheet of paper and advises Bernard to watch himself. The next eclipse, which Ryan pointed out, the thing that's definitely on Sirach's hand that tells us about divergence, it's going crazy. Or actually, D told us it was an eclipse. It's going crazy, all right? And you know that makes Sirach mad when there's chaos in the world. Caleb is instructed to go to a warehouse where Dolores had a body ready to go, and it's an older model. Caleb asks Dolores who the fuck she is and how does she know everything he's doing. Dolores tells Caleb that the people that built her studied him. The government wanted soldiers to train with live targets, and Delos, I'm sorry, was happy to oblige. There's a reason in this why she chose Caleb. They were at the park at one time together. We'll get into that later. Also, he chained her to a pipe that she easily breaks free from and puts her skin on the wrong way. So she puts the arm sleeve on, but she didn't put the bicep sleeve on. And I don't know if she's out there with no bicep sleeve.
Maybe the chest,
everything's open. Yeah, everything. She out there just naked. She free balling up under her outfit or whatever. All right. She details that this is his chance to save everyone. William meets a business associate. We flash to William is in a lobby of look like a big hotel.
Yeah.
He meets a business associate and asks him where the fuck is his money. He wants his money because he's going to go after Delos' assets worldwide. Switch off to Sirach talking to Maeve about getting Dolores and how Rollbomb instructed him to free his brother, as far as put his brother on ice. Sirach finds out that Caleb met with Simon. So that head henchman pulls up and sees Caleb meeting with Simon. They know that Caleb was one of the U classification people, the outliers. They meet up with the crew. And when I mean they, I mean Dolores and Caleb. They start calling this crew of mercenaries, start calling Caleb sir. Dolores tells him that every revolution needs a leader. Charlotte Dolores pops up as a hologram during this time, but she pops up only in Dolores' mind, and she mentions that she still knows everything that Dolores knows, and she has her own plan. Then commences an ambush that Charlotte Dolores set up. She also said that now she views her family as a weakness and something that she needs to shed. And she also describes Dolores as a weakness and something else that she needs to shed also. Dolores tells Caleb to leave after she pays the sniper that's with this crew that ambushes them that Charlotte sent. She overpays the sniper to kill the two remaining soldiers that are trying to kill Caleb and Dolores. Caleb is met on the street by some men that Dolores sent. Caleb is determined to get inside of Insight. Maeve and Dolores kick it off. This is after Dolores gets away. She's running and she starts to hear the blade. Maeve is there with the whole litany of cats. I kind of feel like this one was like way over the top. Like this, I have to say, this got a little bit too much.
I would think this is sort of like, I haven't seen John Wick, but I heard John
Wick. Yes, the great one. I've seen the first one. I've seen one of them, I believe. Yes, that's the greatest. It's very John Wickish.
But she was falling down and she was shooting you in the head. They on top of a car. I'm like,
she may as well just start.
Go ahead, Dolores.
Throwing cartridges in the air and catching them like this in the gun. Like it just got out. It was a bit much. I love it, but it was a bit much to say anything. So anyway, Dolores and Maeve ended up getting into it, and we find out that with this new body of Dolores, but it's from an older model of Host that is stronger, and that Arnold and Ford built them weaker so they would seem more human-like. So think about it. When these people are going to Westworld and these other places that's on that Westworld campus, they want these robots to die and feel like they're killing a real person.
Wait a minute. So Dolores' body was like a 1975 Buick.
Right.
Straight steel. Right. And they got these like new little fiberglass little bodies.
Case in point, if you ever seen Back to the Future, when Marty tells Doc, Back to the Future 2, when they're hovering over Biff's Buick, I believe it's a Buick, and he's like, just set it down on top of him, Doc. And he's like, Marty, that's a 1956 Buick. This is the DeLorean that ripped to us like tinfoil. That's what he's basically saying.
Exactly.
Right? All right. So Mary tells Dolores that she wants to tear down the world, that Dolores wants to tear down the world and replace it with copies of herself. Dolores hits back with, they're all copies of her. She says that she was the first host to work, and then they just built them all off of copies of her, which was like, Dolores kicks the shit out of Maeve. She beats Maeve's ass. And when she's walking away, Charlotte freezes Dolores, and she runs back to Dolores and tells her what Dolores told her earlier that we've mentioned several times in the show, when Dolores told her, I'm not going to be here and you have to take care of yourself. And she said, I remembered that. Also, you built in redundancies to stop me, but I also built them in to stop you. And that's how she was able to stop Dolores's movement and allow Maeve to capture her and take her to Serac. Mm-hmm. Caleb meets up with Giggles, Beast Mode, and Ashley and Waif during the riot. Caleb makes it to the Metro PD transport. They assist him, even though Giggles, Beast Mode gets shot, and he tells Ash, Lena Waif to go back and help him. It kind of even seems like maybe they were in a relationship. It had a tinkling how she said, like, go back and help, even though they're friends. But it seemed like I wondered, like, was there more than a friendship between the two of them? I know she wasn't his brother because we found out that her brother was somebody she was trying to save. Right. When it was with Liam when he put on the glasses.
The other question is, does he survive?
I think so, because it seemed like it didn't.
Shot in his shoulder?
Yeah, shot in his shoulder. And I feel like if it was something that was really dangerous, she would have been trying to get him out of there rather than just trying to keep him low.
Only reason why I say he might be dead is because when it was going towards the end of the episode, they was leading people out. We didn't see him.
Okay. Did you see her?
You did. Yeah, we definitely saw her. Yep.
Okay. I don't remember.
It was a kind of like a slow motion, like kind of a quick scene. Although it was in slow motion, it was kind of a quick scene.
Okay. Flash over to Bernard with the shot Ashley. He pulls up to a house to see Dolores, but it's Arnold's wife's house, Lauren, who has dementia. She lives there. He sees a picture of their son, and it also reaffirms the fact that, because in some ways we always wondered, was the storyline before Bernard found out that he was a host, he always had visions of his son and what took place with his family and the son being sick. So it always seemed like, wait, was that Arnold's story, or was this something that Ford put in Bernard to make him human? You know what I'm saying? He gave him a backstory. So we never knew when Ford revealed the truth to Bernard if that backstory had any legitimacy. And now we find out that there was legitimacy to it. He did have a son, and his son died. You know, as far as
Arnold's son died.
Arnold's son, yeah. The memories that Ford has basically trapped in his head.
I have a question about that, but I'll come back to it.
Sorry. He tells Lauren, his wife, who's much older now and has dementia, as I said, that he still hears Charlie's voice, and he turns and looks at him. He's not there. And she goes on to tell him the same thing, but she also told him how she got over the grief, and that by living, she's carrying Charlie with her. Basically, like, you need to live is what she basically told Bernard, and she called Bernard Arnold too. So she comforted him. It was really sweet. You know what I'm saying? And then just out of the blue, he blows her back out. He turns into Savage Bernard style. He hits the switch and just starts banging this old lady into oblivion.
Lord, that did not happen, everybody. Inside of Ken's crazy mind.
Right when he touched his face, it was like bonk chicka wow wow. Switch over to Serac, and he has Dolores hooked up to Rehoboam, and mentions data from Delos. Immortality Project. One thing that I've been saying was the key to a lot of this stuff was the immortality when it came to Delos in the first place. He destroys Dolores' memories in an attempt to get her to reveal where the key is located. Caleb makes it to Insight, dukes it out with the head henchman, who for some reason wanted to bring a strangle cord to a fight. I don't know why.
Who still does that? Old James Bond movie.
Thank you. And then it's like, listen, you pull that out after someone is down. You don't sit there like, got my dukes up, and you like, shh. Like, that's not how this works.
What you gonna do now?
So anyway, Caleb kills the dude. Maeve pulls up after Caleb kills the dude and takes the flash that Caleb got from Solomon from him, and takes Caleb downstairs basically to Serac. Serac tells Caleb that he is a man pushed by acts of extreme violence. He tells Caleb that he isn't who Dolores told him he was. He also says that Caleb he also tells Caleb to ask if the strategy that was uploaded to the system. Caleb does it. He throws him to some type of computer monitor, and Caleb sees that if whatever he was going to do that Solomon told him was going to cause mass casualties, societal collapse, and the end of civilization. And Serac then destroys the USB that Caleb got from Simon. I think we all know what's going to happen. When that happened, I'll get to this part later. I hope we all kind of knew what was going to happen when that USB was destroyed. Because, one, they flashed to it.
I thought you said you're going to get to it later.
I'm about to stop. They flashed to it is all I was going to say. They flashed to it. Okay. All right. As soon as he destroys it, they flash to it.
Yes.
All right. So they continue. They can't still find the key in Dolores. Maeve starts to get a real creepy electronic vibe, and she picks up Rehoboam talking to Serac. So Rehoboam is in whispering in Sirach's ear. So a lot of the stuff that Sirach is saying is basically verbatim from Rehoboam. And Sirach gave his voice to Rehoboam. So it wasn't like Rehoboam was like, here, Sirach was like, come on, God, I want you to be a part of me whatsoever. They still can't locate the key, and Maeve goes in Dolores' mind, but she realizes that the key isn't there. So Sirach tells his henchmen to kill Caleb, all right, and orders the rest of Dolores' memories erased. And then the plan starts to unfold. Some people choose to see the ugliness in the world and the disarray. So we flash to a scene, and it's Dolores inside of her own mind, out in the country by herself by a tree. She's talking to somebody. We don't know who it is yet. Then we see that it's Maeve. And Dolores starts to speak on. And Dolores talks about that human beings and the pain and the kindness. And Maeve still believes Dolores wants to kill the world. So Dolores tells her that she was angry at first and they could annihilate them or tear them down or their world or build another one that's truly free. And then they could bring the others back, all the other hosts back, which I'll get back to this point. But it was there's one thing we talked about a lot in the show was, well, I'll say it right now. At the beginning of the show, I said that Dolores was no longer a killer from what the things that she was saying as far as that she didn't want to really kill man. And we kept questioning, was that true in fact?
Yeah,
but
we know which way she was going to go.
That was the truth. She did not want to kill human beings like that anymore. Right. Maeve realizes Dolores never had the key. Dolores says that she couldn't trust herself and gave it to someone that she could. Her plan to liberate the world was to convince others to fight, like Caleb and like Maeve. Like something I always said, like Maeve was part of this plan with Dolores. So she remembers the moments that she saw and what people are really capable of in good ways. They created this, is something else Dolores said. They created this. They knew enough about beauty to teach it to us, and maybe they can find it themselves. Maeve needs to pick a side. Dolores chooses to see the beauty in human beings. All right, we get another flashback. Maeve is standing with her blood. Not a flashback. We flash to out of Dolores' mind, and Maeve has made a decision we come to see because out of the flashback, they expand from the shot, and Maeve has her blade in one of Sirach's henchmen's back. So she made a choice. All right, unbeknownst to herself, while she was in Dolores' mind, she made a choice. She kills this henchman. All right, and even then, all of a sudden, she just starts about Sirach is like, what the fuck is you doing? Maeve, the lights go off. We see flasher and muzzles, and Maeve just wipes out everybody. Even Sirach's on the ground bleeding. Maeve tells Caleb and her and Dolores were never. Maeve tells Caleb this. She said, me and Dolores were never friends. I never understood Dolores or her plan or why she chose Caleb till the end. Caleb retorts back and says that she chose me for my capacity for violence. Maeve responds, no, she chose you for your capacity to choose. Flashback to Caleb at Westworld saving the host. So Caleb, again, at the beginning of the show, now we find out why Dolores chose him. Dolores was one of the hosts that Caleb in whatever simulation that the army was doing with these hosts. Park 5, thank you, D. At Park 5, one of the soldiers was basically wanted to rape the hosts because he's like, the rich man be doing that here. Why don't we? And Caleb stopped him and was like, nah, we're not basically going to do that. So Maeve tells Caleb to make a choice, and Sirach orders Rehoboam to call the 12. He said, call the cops. Rehoboam didn't respond. And we then find out that Rehoboam answers to Caleb now. And the reason is, and this is what I was talking about, because they hooked Dolores up. So when they smack, because in my mind, I'm like, they were going to use Solomon's plan. It was clear as day. And as soon as they smashed it, it flashed to Dolores being hooked up to Rehoboam. And it was like, okay, the last thing they had was Dolores. And still, Dolores, and the truth be told, has always been a Trojan horse in this. Like,
and remember, in the episode before this, before she hit the EMP, is it called EMP?
EMP.
Yeah, EMP. She looked at Solomon, and you could see her eyes kind of twitching as if it was kind of like an upload kind of a thing. So that's why we think like, okay, the flash drive was a decoy. She was actually, you just said, the Trojan horse. Now, how did I knew she was trying to get there, but the way she got about there, maybe that's not the way she wanted to get, caught and get hooked up. But
I think that's totally what she wanted to do.
You think she wanted to get? See,
yeah, she knew.
I think she wanted to get there. I just don't think she knew how she was going to get there.
No, because she knew.
Okay.
Wait.
I know we got more breakdown to go.
No, we can do this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
They think the key is in Dolores, so Dolores knew she was going to be hooked up to find the key. Remember?
No. What I'm trying to say is, did she know that she was going to get captured?
Yes.
So?
Yeah, because that's why she did not take Caleb with her. That Caleb, her plan was safety, get Caleb out of here. But you could be right now. She did.
They ended up being in the same place. He was just upstairs.
Yeah, I get that, but she didn't want him to be there with her from fear of what could happen, and he needs to basically be alive.
I get that.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, while this is happening, so Caleb erases the royal bomb. He tells the royal bomb to do the final plan and to erase yourself. And while this is happening, one thing that did stand out to me on the rewatch, Sirach is murmuring, and he says, "Speak to me, brother." Right? So that's something that has to be sussed out next season as far as that relationship. Because one thing about it, Sirach's been living with Robom like it's his sibling for Lord knows how long now, 20 years maybe? You know what I'm saying? And now
you're saying he said, "Speak to me, brother." He wasn't talking about his actual brother. He's talking about Robom.
Initially, when I wrote this down, I thought he was talking to his actual brother. I think he was talking to Robom, but I also still think he was talking to his brother due to the fact that these computers have aspects of their personalities inside of them.
Okay.
All right. Because it's like they say with Solomon that basically he was an insane computer because a schizophrenic person built him. So that's kind of built into the algorithm. It's like one thing they tell us true. The one thing about machines is that we built them. So there's flaws in machines because we're the people that write the code.
Right. And also, too, they can't communicate with each other. I think we know, but we don't know if Solomon is actually. We knew the power went down, but maybe the power came back up. So maybe he's still up and running, and maybe he should talk to people.
Reserve power was on.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. But we still don't know. But remember that EMP was there to stop Solomon from escaping.
Right.
So I still think I agree with you that Solomon is still there because that's the only thing that Sirach can go back to now since Robom is gone. So we'll find out in season 4. You know what I'm saying? But that's the only thing that's left, basically. He has to, and he does not have the data. Think about it, too. He doesn't have the data that they have from the park. Like, the only place that data still lies is in Solomon. So we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, Bernard, so we switch to Bernard. He places Ashley in a tub in a motel full of ice. He tells Ashley Dolores is gone, and he can feel it because they've always been bonded together and something's just changed. He misjudged Dolores, and what's happened was bound to happen. Like, so the world was always going to go into anarchy, but Sirach and his brother, Jean, held it off as long as possible. But humanity never reckoned with its own sins. And then he mentions that our world burned before we were free, and probably this world has to too. And then he tells us that the key is in his mind. Dolores told Maeve she couldn't trust herself with the key. And now we find out finally what's been all this time that Bernard's been feeling something in his head, what it was. D, what you about to say?
No, well, there's 2 things that hopped out to me when he said that. One, when we had the shots of all the different pearls and his looked different, it had the little red on it. I think that was his.
Mm-hmm, that was his?
Yes, it was his. And also, too, it kind of come out to fruition when I forget who, I think it was Martin who told Bernard, you're the only one that we can't replace.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, like, maybe it should have known on us, but
we said that, no, we can't. Well, we mentioned that then.
We knew he was Bernard was special in some kind of way.
We debated
about the key.
We debated what Martin meant at that point. And I believe I was saying that I've always said this. This was built for Bernard and also Maeve, as far as Dolores, it wasn't with and I've been a big proponent that I know we should do the great thing that Dolores was not evil and Dolores was on a better path than what was discussed during this thing. That's one thing I've always said. So anyway, Bernard, who still has the case that Lawrence gave him, says, I have to go in and basically find out what to do after the world has been burning. Ashley calls out to him and basically asks him what's he seeing. Bernard head drops. Bernard's unconscious. Last scene, William finally catches up. Seems like in maybe Saudi Arabia or something. Catches up with Charlotte. And while he goes downstairs, he comes in there killing a dude or two. Makes it downstairs where Charlotte's at in his lab. One thing Dee did say last episode that Charlotte repaired herself. Charlotte did repair herself. She didn't repair her arm because she still wanted to remember what human beings had done to her, right? Basically, she's on some fuck shit. So when William's down there about to kill her, all of a sudden, Dark Hat William Holtz pops out. She's like, oh, yeah, I got one of you. I got one of you back here, too. And they commence to fighting. She's basically saying, well, Dolores' plan was fucked up. she wanted to save y'all. And I know now because he says when he comes down there, he says to Charlotte, "You are Dolores." She's like, "Yeah, initially we were, but then we went our separate ways." I realized she was on some shit that didn't make sense, and I have a whole new scheme that I'm hatching. Dark William during the fight slashes William's throat. So right now it seems like William is dead. She did say that Dark William was going to be the person to go out and save the world. So she's going to use Dark William as her avatar, basically, to go out there and do whatever her next scheme is. Then we go into a lower level and find out that she's creating, it seems like hundreds, if not thousands of hosts on a lower level. Then flip to Bernard wakes up, but he's ashy as fuck. And it seems like it has to be like...
He's more so dusty.
I know. It seems like it's decades later. Like, that's not a year right there.
Yeah.
Like, because even the walls were ashy as hell, right? So Bernard seems like he's woke up decades later, and I guess we'll pick back up. It'll be a time jump from when this anarchy initially happened to when Bernard wakes up with whatever it is he finds that he can help bring back humanity and also perhaps repopulate the world with hosts in a positive manner.
In a positive manner. All right. That was a good breakdown, Ken.
I appreciate it.
So a few things that kind of hopped out to me was one thing I did see this was not me. I was, I always kind of like watch like a little recap of the show as well, of different outlets. One thing I want to see is true. When you just said when Bernard woke up and he seemed like he was very, very far in the future, and we saw that dark hat William come out, I believe at the end of season 2, we saw a dark hat William come out in a Delos facility was super, super dusty. And the producers of the show said, like, yeah, that scene is really, really far in the future.
They do.
So, yeah. So now
and they were testing for fidelity. Oh, D, you stole my thing.
Oh, sorry. Well, that was one thing that really jumped out to me because now it seems as if now we're about to kick forward real far in the future. And now we're going to see that Bernard. We're going to see that Bernard, and now we're going to see that William. Now, I guess, a host doesn't age. So I don't know how far in the future it's going to be, but obviously that's where we're going to go. So that was one thing that kind of hopped out to me. Like, okay, so next season, which probably happened maybe 2.5 years from right now because of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe it's usually take 2 years, so it may be 3.
It may be 3, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 3. So now we got to see, okay, where did it go from there?
Also, Maeve tells Caleb at the end when they're walking out of Insight that, are you ready, babe? And he basically like, what? And she's like, in this new world, you can be whoever the fuck you want to be.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see who Maeve is.
Who Caleb
future.
is.
Well, Caleb is going to be old. I mean, Caleb is clearly going to be, what's the name's name? John Connors. He's going to be John Connors, basically, from Terminator.
Terminator?
Yeah, he's going to be the revolutionary guy that's like, oh, John Connors, we thank you so much for all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who basically he's going to be. He's going to have to clearly have been aged. I mean, the most you would think it would be 20 years. So he'd be, let's just say if he's 30 now, he'll be 50. You know what I'm saying? So
how about this? I kick it to Ryan. So maybe now we'll see Caleb as we saw a young William and an old William. Maybe we're going to see like an old.
Ooh, that's a good
Caleb.
one.
That's a good one, dude.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like the idea of it going into the future, and we'll see how everything's kind of rebuilt. And we know that Dolores is still alive because that last Dolores is part of the sheriff.
Lawrence is still out there, and don't forget that we still have Connell's Dolores Pearl.
And let's not forget this either, too, Ryan and Ken. They just walked away. They could have took the pearl out of that Dolores. Oh no, they wiped it.
But let me say this point. One thing too. That's the only way Robobomb can escape if he escaped, because she was still hooked up to him and her brain is wiped out.
What do you mean?
Yeah, maybe. Like if he just jumped in before.
If he jumped in, just like remember how they said Solomon, the EMP was there to stop Solomon from leaving, right?
Okay.
So basically, how would Solomon have left? He probably would have jumped in one of those Maeve robot things and escorted with
so potentially just some electronic device.
True, or he could have gotten out through. But I'm just saying that if Robobomb, this is just my theory. If Robobomb still exists, it may be because when he was told to erase himself, he downloaded himself into that Dolores.
And to what you just said, Ryan, any kind of device, maybe that's why it was so poignant that they showed Sirach crashing that flash drive.
Yeah, potentially. I'm really excited about how the show is going, but overall, I didn't love this episode as much as I like the other ones. There was just a lot of silliness things in there.
It was it was action packed. Yeah, it was pretty hokey.
I'm with you. I think we've argued for the most part. I think me and Ryan have liked every episode, maybe a little bit more than the other. D had an episode or two where he's kind of like, I didn't like this one as much. But I think clearly this one may have been one of all of our least favorite episodes this season.
I think so.
It was just like, what the hell, dude?
But I think it saved its ass at the end.
Yeah,
because,
I am interested, especially after the credits when those scenes came through, because like you said, D, I immediately thought when they were doing the testing for fidelity, oh, that's who they're testing for fidelity. This one. So remember how we've talked about how Charlotte's like coming to life, even though it's a new host, different Pearl? That probably is going to happen to old William, and that's where the fidelity thing, like, does he start believing that he's real or something like that?
Or
so I wonder if that's going to progress.
Or does the goals of the real William break through in the host William?
Right, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
that's still just been the weirdest thing to me about this whole entire show. How a host can pick up the actual life of a person they're just copying. Unless it's kind of like it's all the information about that person downloaded into the Pearl, and then when it not corrupts, but that real person attributes in every way starts to come out, even though they're a host. That's the one thing that kind of always kind of weird to me about this show. I
don't know if it's all based on just the Pearl or if it's based on being in someone else's skin.
Right. Do you guys think that that's going to be like I wonder if they're like putting it on the table right now, and then next season maybe they go back in time with like Arnold and Ford discussing how this kind of stuff and how that developed.
This has been the only season that they really didn't play the time game like they have during the whole first two seasons. So I think that's a great point, Ryan, because again, think about it. When you leap forward 20 years, it allows you to go back and forth and also show us how we got here, but also all the way go back to the park and show, like you guys are talking about fidelity, what they were initially trying to do. One thing I've always said was this was always about human beings and mortality. And like everything else was fun and games, but the real thing was immortality through technology, basically. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that's been a key to me during the series.
One question for you guys. So is Charlotte now motivated to destroy the human race?
Yes.
I think Charlotte is kind of like Dolores season 2. And when she's like, I'm just burning out everything, and she made William this host William kind of like her. What was her guy name?
Teddy.
Teddy. Yeah. So now, you know what I'm saying? Now it's kind of like a bizarro Dolores and Teddy, because we got like this Hale and this William right here. Because those two have always been close too. Think about the relationships. She always said, I know you the best. You know what I'm saying? This is Hale talking to William. And obviously we had Teddy and then we had Dolores. So it's kind of like a bizarro of the relationships.
One thing I did point out last week that I said that Maeve was going to break through that little device of Sirach's.
You call it?
Yeah, listen, the whole thing is this too. What the hell's going to happen with Maeve out here free with that damn power that she has? Because it seems like the shit's growing. All right, like when she sits there and is like, I'm like, damn, she hears some shit. She picking up the technology. And it's like, oh nah. Well,
Ken, maybe she becomes like a key or a weapon moving forward. Like,
I would think so.
Charlotte and Dolores are kind of fighting over her for her power, maybe potentially, or something like that.
That's a good one. I do think though. I think she's gonna be like a mogul. I mean, if things get back in place, let me say that. If they're not living in Mad Max world beyond Thunderdome for the rest of these next 20 years, I think she becomes a mogul. Like when she says you can be whatever the fuck you want, she is not going to be out here half-footing. She's going to be doing it big.
She always, even when she was a host on Westworld, she was all for women empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So she might raise up to be kind of like, that's a good one, Ken. She might raise up to be like this mogul, about women empowerment.
And real quick before we leave, going on your point real quick, and that points out to when she sent Penelope and old girl there. It's all about girl power with her.
Oh, I was gonna say real quick, but those two girls not messing with her; they messing with Hale.
All right, D. Look, I disagree with the fact that the girl power unit was Charlotte's. I think it was Charlotte helping Maeve, is what I thought was taking place. That Charlotte was, now sitting there and because she was trying to hurt whatever Dolores was doing. And we know for a large period of time, the arch villain to Dolores was Maeve. Like this whole thing has been Maeve and Dolores because they're basically the alphas in this. So I viewed it as those were, and I think we talked about this, those were the people, the team, because remember when Maeve was like, I need a squad. Those were the people that Maeve had Sirach bring back to be her squad. We saw she was going to bring Hector back, but his pearl was crushed by Dolores Charlotte then when she was still working with Dolores. So I think that it was both. I think those girls were working with, especially when you see Penelope, were working with Maeve. But I think Charlotte worked with them because at this point is when she decided that since Dolores was getting rid of all the copies that Dolores' plan was using her copies as basically cannon fodder. You know what I'm saying? That she was upset about that, and that she was working now with the enemy because she was upset about that.
So when did Dolores steal that case? Not steal it, but the case that had the heart when it went over Bernard's head, and Lawrence gave it to Bernard. When did Dolores get that?
I don't remember.
Because what was his name again? Musashi? I'm pronouncing.
Yeah, Musashi.
Okay, all right. Wow, I got it right. Okay, so they killed him, cut his head, because now we thinking that, you know what I'm saying, he got the pearl, right? So was that briefcase just laying there and somebody picked it up and was like, got a UPS delivery for you? You know what I'm saying? So I wonder how did that happen? How did she?
Do you think that there could be multiple Halos or just one briefcase?
Well, I remember the last season it was just like one big device, and then he would he would kind of like sit up under it or come down on him or like that. I never saw. Well, obviously now we know it's a portable version. Got a landline to a cell phone. So I don't know. I don't know if it's multiple.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm curious. How did that get to that? How did that get there? Because the two women that get it, they took Musashi's head.
Well, one thing you're saying though is, did you see that case prior to this last episode?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure of that, because what I was going to say is perhaps it's what Lawrence has been working on this whole time. Lawrence Dolores. Like,
but isn't that the case that Musashi told old boy, like, hey, if you don't come back, if you don't deliver this. So I remember just asking my question then. Did the guy deliver it? Was it multiple? It seemed like it was multiple cases though. It was one case was the
gun. One case was the gun. One case.
There you go. All right, so I didn't answer my question then. So
wait, just
that dude did he deliver it?
Yeah,
he delivered it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was curious about that. I'm like, I thought it was like two cases. Okay, so that got delivered. All right. But no, I don't know about the ladies. I don't know where that.
Because who has the most incentive to bring back Penelope?
It would be Maeve.
You know what I'm saying? And especially she can't have her daughter right now.
But,
she brought back Hector. She was going to bring back Hector.
But Hale said, I'm streamlining things. And it seems as if those two was then, in my opinion, now working for Hale. I don't think Maeve don't know anything about this.
I didn't think that. I could be wrong, but I didn't think that. I thought, you know what I'm saying, that she was like, hey, I tipped some folks off about what's popping. Like, yeah, I'm still alive. You didn't think I was alive, but she plans for all of us to die, but I'm just letting you know I sent some folks your way. That's how I took it.
So you think she like intercepted them? Oh, this is one thing I did want to bring up. Maybe this is possible. I don't know. So as we was watching it, was kind of wondering like, okay, is Dolores Pearl fucked up because she's now seen Hale kind of like talking to her, whatever like that. So now we know that Hale was in the Delos offices overseas. So it sounds as if she was able to patch in to Hale, and that's how she was able to talk to her and how she was able to stop her. Because I'm guessing she thought maybe like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and stop you and Maeve would kill her, but obviously that didn't happen with the rest of the episode. But it seems as if Hale was able to control him. So maybe she's able to control all hosts, like in a sense, kind of like Maeve, kind of like dial in. Let me dial into your server real quick. Maybe she's able to control them, and now maybe bringing to your point, maybe she is working for them. I don't know.
But only problem I have with that, I only have one problem.
Yeah.
With that. One, I don't think when Charlotte said, you built in redundancies to stop me, and because we're the same person, I did that to you. Mm-hmm. So that means it was prior if there was something that was built in, not something I did this day. So that's why
I'm just saying she typed into the code and like, you are the old version. I can slow you down.
That's a great point, though. That could definitely be what happened. That's a really good point. I didn't view it that way. Yeah, I didn't view it that. But I was seeing it because the eyes turned blue. It's like, okay, somebody's like she's seeing some shit. Somebody controlling her in her mainframe. Yeah, that's a good. That could definitely be it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't view it that way, but I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little tough. I like both of your cases for both of your points, because I was wondering, does Maeve just accept that Dolores like shut down? Is she just really just like, oh, okay, she
knows there's nothing left though, Ryan?
You talking about before
when she took her to Sirac?
Oh, great point. Yeah, that was weird. How
she just think like, oh, okay, Dolores shut down.
That's why I think Maeve and Charlotte are working with one another. Because it would have been really weird. Because why did Dolores just kick my ass and then she gonna take a knee?
Right. And they kind of coordinated their attacks in a way like Charlotte would have had to known that Maeve was kind of going in.
It was the ambush, and then after the ambush, when Dolores is fleeing, Maeve is right there. Like I think Charlotte and Maeve are simpatico on getting to Dolores.
So Maeve was working for
Charlotte.
No. I was gonna say was Maeve working with Hale and Sirac?
Yes.
Okay, just kind of see. Okay, which way is this wind gonna blow?
Yes.
But because it seems as if eventually at the end she sided with Dolores. So
guess what though?
Went against both of them.
Think about what Sirac said to Maeve about Caleb. He said, "You ain't tell me shit about him." Right. And she was like, I thought that damn computer could see everything.
True.
So what's to say that there's other things that Maeve didn't tell Sirac about, like working with Charlotte?
But I do think it's possible. It does kind of seem like they're making it seem that way, that Maeve has no idea about these other hosts. But I do remember that one scene where Hector dies and she is creating a host. Did we ever see the identity of that? We
never saw the host. She got out. She looked at that tub. We never saw who was supposed to be in that tub.
And
she said, think about this too. She didn't say, I need a partner. She said, I need a team. Plural. So
and
there were more.
And she got a special gift coming too, a special one coming too.
But that was that was the what's the name? The Connell's, I thought that was Connell's Dolores. Because remember, she was like, she didn't know. She was like, whoa, what is this? And then it showed that beat up Pearl.
But Hale snatched that leaving out. I thought she was talking about this. She said that before. Okay, maybe I got to go back and watch it again. But I thought she said that, what you're saying, before Hale went in, guns ablaze and shooting and snatched that Pearl.
But remember,
she said that before that.
All right, but think about it like I could be wrong. I have to go back and watch it too.
I think it was.
But remember how it happened that she snatched the Pearl, and the next thing she did was crush Hector.
She did. She crushed Hector.
So she said, because she saw everything that was in that room. She saw the people that they were bringing back, and she said, "Oh, that's different." I thought she was referring to the Connell's Pearl of that older Dolores when she saw that.
Now, the way I viewed it when she said, I need a team and, saying I need some help. And then she stood up and then you saw the other body coming up and we never knew who it was. I thought because I believe that went to the next episode, or maybe it was an episode after. I'm not for sure. Maybe 2 episodes in between. I'm not sure. I thought that's what led, at least the way I took it.
Perceived it.
Perceived it when you saw what was the girl we just said that Ryan's kind of like?
Penelope.
Clementine.
It's Penelope Clementine's her name.
Yeah. I thought that was, oh man, here goes Maeve's girls. She about to go ahead and wreck shop and kill Musashi because Musashi killed him. But now it seems as if possible, because you're throwing out a good theory that maybe Maeve was working with Hale too. Well, I'm saying I wonder if Hale patched in and took over those two.
Let me ask you a question. Maeve, as vindictive as Maeve is, you think she gonna let Musashi walk after he killed her?
Right, that's what I'm saying. It kind of led me to believe when we first opened up that scene. It's like, oh shit, Maeve got her back. She killed Musashi, and he took his head to get that pearl.
And we still know where that pearl is at.
Yeah. It's like so.
Now, if you're right, Charlotte has it, right? And also, Charlotte has the Kano's pearl. She never gave that to Dolores. She never saw Dolores again. Yeah. She went home and the truck blew up. Now, was that pearl in the truck when it blew up? I would think she would have taken it with her, right? So perhaps it was destroyed in the truck. But yeah, I definitely think Maeve knows they're there, but I think that's a good theory that she doesn't, and they could be working for Charlotte Dolores.
Yeah. Did when Clementine, attacked Musashi, obviously Charlotte was talking to him, but do we know for sure that she was connected with the others? Did they mention?
Great point. We don't, because we didn't see the others.
Say that one more time.
He's saying this when Charlotte was talking to Musashi. We don't know if she was talking to those two hosts because we never saw them seeming like they were like, "Hey, mission complete." We never. Yeah, we don't know whose authority they were working on because we never saw. Basically, she said what Clementine said what she had to say to Musashi. Then shit kicked off.
Hell, she could be talking about what she was telling Dolores. Like, yeah, I didn't cut you out. I didn't streamline. She could be talking about what she's doing overseas in Saudi Arabia, not even thinking that those two are there supposed to be doing what they supposed to be doing. Yeah. Right. I don't know. It's a lot. It's still a lot of. I
think they left it pretty ambiguous.
It's ambiguous.
Absolutely, and I think that's what's kind of setting up for next season. And listen, we don't know if Dolores is there technically because she had like the Dolores Hale, but this now we have kind of like a Bizarro Dolores with Hale, but we don't know if that Dolores, if Evan. Is it Evan Rachel Wood? Is I think her name? We don't even know if she's even going to be back because that Dolores has laid out on the ground, hooked up to.
No, there's Lawrence Dolores is still alive.
So no. He means the actress.
The actress. I'm talking about the actress.
That's what I think is going to happen.
She will be back there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying. I'm just talking it as if it. What we're seeing right now. But you do have that old version of Dolores is now gone. You still have Lawrence. You still have we don't know what the Kano Pearl is at. It's still a few Dolores out there. And like you said, and Musashi's, and like you said, Ken, she is the Omega. And all kind of built off her anyway. So
I think Kano's Pearl is the one that's going to be the next Dolores because I think that one was probably the most in line with, because that was before
the old school one.
Yeah,
you don't think Lawrence is going to do the old skin change?
I don't know.
He can.
Yeah, that's facts. We just
saw it before.
But the Kano's Pearl is actually the truest one that's out there because it's not a copy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably like Dolores is probably a copy of Kano's Pearl. The real Dolores is probably a copy of Kano's Pearl. So I would think there's going to be
why wouldn't Lawrence's be in he's one of the copies of the original Dolores?
Right? Yes, definitely. The only thing that I'm saying is I'm hypothesizing. I would think they would bring out one that is the closest one to what the original one was. Or what they probably do is make more than one. And there could be something with that. But I would think, because why bring Kano's Pearl into it? They didn't just bring Kano's Pearl there so Maeve could talk to her in a simulation for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a reason.
It's a reason that they brought that one back. And also that one pointed out just like Charlotte did, that they diverged at one point, right? Go ahead, Dick.
Also, too, maybe that Connell Pearl is going to be the Omega for all the
That's what I'm
thousands.
saying. Because remember, we found out they're clones of Dolores. And then look, going on what he's saying, remember, that's the real one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one Connor was training in that room all the time when he was like, "Wake up, Dolores." All right, remember he always worked with Dolores. That is patient zero Dolores, basically the original cell that they built everything off of. So I would think that Dolores is going to come back.
Okay. Now here's a question, and maybe I missed this. Arnold, is he white?
No, Arnold is Bernard. Bernard looks like Arnold. Bernard looks just like Arnold. He's a clone. He is a symbiote, a host of Arnold. That's how Arnold looks.
Are you race baiting, D?
No. No, the reason why I was kind of confused. So before the season started, I did just to refresh my mind because it was off for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I did a recap kind of one of the many of your YouTubes. You can watch us on YouTube. One of the many YouTube videos, and they showed a clip of a guy, a younger version, but it wasn't of Ford.
That's Ford.
No, it was Ford.
I thought it was.
It was two. Remember, it was Ford and his partner was Arnold.
So Arnold was a black guy. I never saw a young black guy. Did y'all see a young black guy anywhere?
But I don't think we were supposed to, because that would ruin the spoiler on Bernard being Arnold.
Yeah, because remember, initially we weren't supposed to know Bernard was Arnold.
So another young white guy.
But they may have been throwing your ass off.
William?
That's what I was going to say. No, remember, we were never supposed to know that. Remember, we didn't know Bernard was a host.
Right.
So when it was revealed, when Anthony Hopkins revealed that, you're a host made from my buddy that was the co-owner.
I thought that basically made was kind of like you are of his mind and essence, not the actual body. Tell you, man, I saw another young white guy.
This sounds like Jesus Christ all of a sudden.
Wait, here we go.
I'm telling y'all, man.
But remember, I'm gonna
go back and look at these videos.
Lawrence Fishburne's ex-wife is Lauren.
Yes.
All right. I don't think she was married. They got that son looked like a black kid. Remember, he went into the house. That was Arnold's family. Remember, that was pictures of Arnold's family in that house.
But we never saw him, though. We didn't see a picture of Bernard. Did we see a young Bernard with a fro sitting like this, not with the donut? You never saw that?
I knew this was race baiting.
Where's the family pictures at? Where are the family pictures? I haven't seen that one damn picture of young Bernard. I'm telling y'all, man. I'm review videos. I saw two young white guys. All right, man.
All right, well, I'm going to the internet.
Okay.
I wonder if this is like. Are they saving that as a secret? Well, Bernard is actually white. Dun, dun, dun.
I haven't seen not one image of a young Bernard at that.
I got a Reddit question. Is Bernard supposed to look like Arnold?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Sorry in advance. Again, now this is a Reddit question. Shout out to Serena Williams' husband. Sorry in advance for the dumbass question that may have already been answered many times, but is Bernard supposed to look like Arnold? Because then why wouldn't he ever recognize that Bernard is a host, or was the real Arnold the hyper white guy rushing down the hall, and Dolores and Bernard are now programmed and remember Arnold appearing like Bernard, such that Bernard saw him as Arnold. So they do look alike, which I find beyond credulity. Even in work or fiction, think about it. Arnold was supposed to be important enough to have his name on a door and was Ford's partner, yet no one knows what he looks like. Obviously, the writers knew it was weak and presupposed that the question is, which is why they had overly established that that we'll know, and yet no one knows anything about him. I love the show, but it's lame. There's no picture of Arnold. Okay, so let me go back and see if there's anything else.
I mean, I guess that could be a twist. I mean, I thought part of the explanation was it was so many years later that no one would remember.
That's what I thought too. Arnold. Also, remember this. No one was at the park really with them initially at first, except the hosts. Remember, Ford and Arnold were there for like 20 years damn near by themselves with the hosts. Right. So no one would really know what was going on with them or whatever.
In a flashback, we saw the little young kid in that house. Was that of Bernard's house, or that was Ford's house, right? In season 2?
No, that was Arnold with the kid that had cancer.
Yeah, that was Arnold.
No. Remember the flashback? Because remember.
Oh, that was Ford. That was Ford's. That was a younger Ford.
That was younger Ford.
Yeah, that was a younger Ford. That was a younger Ford.
Okay, so still, we haven't seen Bernard. I'm telling
you, we haven't seen Arnold, is what you're saying.
I'm saying Arnold. Yeah, we haven't seen Arnold. I thought Ford made Bernard in the image of
That's what
Arnold,
I thought too.
But not the actual physical, but in the essence of it, not the physical. Because I would say once again,
you thought that, or you're wondering?
All right, this is from Westworld fandom. Dr. Robert Ford created Bernard with the help of Dolores Abernathy as a replica of his former partner Arnold Weber. Ford tells Bernard in the episode Trace Decay, that he created Bernard because Ford's human staff was not up to the task of programming emotions and hosts and effectively as Ford and Arnold.
He said replica. Yes, you did say replica, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna find a video because that threw me for a loop. Because I always thought what everybody's saying, like, oh yeah, Ford's homeboy was this black guy, and then whatever happened, what happened to him, he just gone ahead. Didn't they say that Arnold wanted to be killed? Didn't they say that he killed himself? Not killed himself, but he had one of the hosts kill him or something like that. Because he didn't, everything was kind of fucked up and he ain't like it or whatever like that.
Didn't Dolores kill him?
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't somebody walk on the back of his head and shoot him in the back of the head or something?
I thought it was Dolores. Yeah, I thought it was Dolores.
Yeah.
Okay. And it looked like the guy who plays Bernard right now, right? I'm gonna go back and watch the video. All I'm trying to say is when I watched that recap, that threw me for a loop. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought that
we know Arnold's kid is black, but so is Arnold's wife. So Arnold, that's technically could be anything at this point.
Yeah.
He could be what we see as Bernard, or maybe they're saving that later on as like, oh, here's a huge twist. He's Chinese.
Yeah. Because remember when he was talking to his wife, she did say the name Arnold, but she, as Ken pointed out, she has dementia. So he's just having a conversation, and anything could trigger somebody to be like,
wait. What? Well, why was she? Now, initially, she has dementia. She doesn't recognize him. Why was she, when she kicks in, anybody has, my grandma had dementia.
Yeah, my auntie had it.
They come in and out. All right. And why would she put her hand on him and say Arnold?
I thought based on the conversation.
But still, he's a black man.
Karen.
He's a black man. If it was a white man there saying it, she'd be like, I may have dementia, but what the fuck? You're going too far with this shit, right? So she wrecked because initially she doesn't recognize him because he's so young, right? I'm 90 years old. This dude looked like my husband. I know it can't be him. Remember the CNN, whoever that was like, she's having a good day, right?
Yeah.
So she then goes back into, but again, listen, I could be wrong.
It's on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely could be wrong.
Yeah, it was a flashback, and they showed this young white guy, but it did not look like Ford, and I was like, oh, so that's who Arnold is. But it was like, wait a minute, I thought he was black. It's like, okay, all right. So that was just one thing I've been wanting to ask y'all for the entire season, but it kind of it sparked back up when the scene when he went back to see his wife. Just something.
Food for thought.
All right, well, real quick.
Yeah.
After 4 Hands, this is from time.com. This is from an article called Let's Talk About the 11 Most Interesting Westworld Fan Theories. After 4 Hands Bernard a photograph of himself posing with Arnold, Bernard discovers that the man in Ford's secret cottage, this guy's definitely not Jeffrey Wright, and the host who Ford introduces as his hospitality-like alcoholic father doesn't even recognize him or name Arnold. But fans on Reddit point out a human-sized host suggests that a third subject was missing from the picture, and because conflicting information is invisible to hosts to spare them from heartbreak, it seems possible Bernard was in the picture but couldn't register the complete shot. Remember what's-the-name's father couldn't see that. Remember when that person left that picture of the future, but Dolores' father couldn't see it? Like they were like in Tokyo or something, and Dolores showed it to her father, and he was like, I don't see what's on that picture. You don't remember that from the first season? Where they blocked the host from seeing outside, basically. So let's just say one of the people that was visiting Westworld dropped something, which had happened. Someone visited Westworld and dropped a photograph. And I don't know if they had on any ski equipment, but they were like in that, whatever that main intersection was in Tokyo that you always see that looks like Times Square, but has all the big screens and shit.
I thought that was William's brother-in-law's wife.
He didn't bring his wife.
No, a picture of it. I thought it was a picture of him.
All I'm saying, the only point that I'm making is they blocked hosts from seeing things, and we saw it when Dolores showed it to her father.
Gotcha.
Because her father couldn't see the pic. He couldn't see what was on the picture.
But couldn't she see it though?
But the point is, the reason is why maybe the hosts don't know, and what they're saying is in that picture where what they just said in that brief part of that article is that it wasn't two people in the picture, it was actually three. And Bernard was blocked off from it, so no one could recognize that Arnold was Bernard or Bernard. So again, these are just theories.
Send that article out. I'm very interested to finish reading that.
Okay, I'll send to you.
Maybe it could be a little bit of a twist, like Ryan said. Maybe kind of and this is who Bernard is. Because also too, we now think that maybe Bernard, when he put on the device, did he go into the sublime?
That's what he called it. He called it sublime.
So maybe
whatever heaven, whatever the great place where the daughter and all those people went was.
That's where he went.
They're calling it
possibly, right?
Yeah, they're calling it the sublime.
Interesting. Well, okay. How about this to wrap it up? So, what did y'all think overall of the season? Can you kick it up you first?
I thought it was really good, but I feel like some of the magic is gone. And it happens with every show. Like there's something, I hate to say this because I love this show so much. There was a layer that was missing from this season. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's because usually the show isn't linear and it leaves. Like I love, if you watch a show like this with me, I'm tossing theories out, and because I like to try to break it down before it happens. Like that's unfortunately a character flaw of mine. And I felt like this season was a lot easier to break down outside of Dolores having copies. Like that was one thing that one I didn't see coming. But I felt like I hit on a lot more of the season than past seasons. And I did on past seasons, but still they would do something. You'd be like, damn, I didn't even know. Like it would just blow your mind. I didn't feel like they were, and again, you don't always have to do, but also let me say this. Part of the reason they probably didn't do that is for all the stupid people. Because let's not forget, it's the facts.
Yeah.
There was too many people that said season 2 wasn't better than season 1, and season 2 was clearly better than season 1.
Way better than season 1.
Yeah, and we disagree on most shit, and you say that all the time. I've always I love this show. Season 2, which was more complicated for people to follow. All you had to do was just watch it and just really think about it. So I wonder if they just kind of dialed this one back a little bit. So to make it a lot more accessible for people than how complicated it was in the past. But I prefer the complication because, it's too easy to figure out most of this stuff. So that's it was a good season, but it's my least favorite season, I guess I would say. It's my third favorite season is what I should say.
Okay, would you give it a grade, like a B+?
It's a B. It's a B. Right. I mean, especially when you're stepping into the real world, because I think one reason they didn't make it as far as the time travel point is to make it a point that they were now in the present. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you're working with that and you're not using the plot devices that you had, but I think they did a really good job with it. But still, it was a bit hard for me to adjust in some ways to them just being in this future world with dealing with all the Westworld campuses that they had in the past.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, I would say this is my least favorite of the season so far. Yeah, kind of the same thing you're saying, Ken, how they kind of dialed back. Like, that whole last episode, I just knew Sirac was going down and Dolores was going to do something. I mean, it was just like so obvious. Never done
Ryan, can I ask you this real quick? Yeah. So after the USB was destroyed, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, I knew somehow either Maeve was going to suddenly turn and then come on their side and cut them all down, and Dolores was either going to unattach and they destroy Rehoboam that way, or something to that effect.
Okay, I thought it was going to be Dolores. I thought it was going to be Dolores because she was hooked up to the machine. But please continue.
Yeah, I just think that they have to follow it up with a big season next year. And I like the setup, like you talked about. We know we're going to go huge into the future, and it feels like we're going to do a bunch of time jumps. And I love time jumps. So when they were doing that all last season, sign me up for that stuff. I know most people don't like it, but I love the complication. But as long as they follow it up with a strong season, I think it'll make this season better. It just without that strong season afterwards, it just feels like the show's slipping a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this season. Like season 1 for me, I watched it. You put me on to it, Ken. It's like, man, you gotta watch it. And I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. All right, whatever. Season 2 happened, and that's when I became really a big fan. So I like this season, although it did have its hokey moments.
Are you saying this is your second best favorite season?
I would probably say
you're gonna D it up.
Yeah, I would probably
D it up.
Hey man, I always go game 7. I would probably say that it's kind of like a tie with season 1, but for different reasons. Like I said,
B-face.
but for different reasons. Like I said before, I like the first season. Like, okay, this is cool. I can definitely watch the second one. Second one by far my favorite. Yeah, obviously, my favorite.
Hard.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was hard.
This season right here, it, as you all said, it did have its hokey moments, very Hollywood moment. I'm with you. I kind of knew that there was gonna be a rosier picture towards the end, but the whole thing with the pearls, that was interesting. The finding out, okay, so what's this whole thing with this dial and the Lord, not the Lord, what was it? I can't think of the name right now, but the diversions, how the diversion will be off, the whole thing with the outliners. I thought that was really, really cool. And man, listen, I'm telling you, that end credit of the last episode really sold me on, like, oh shit, it's about to be some stuff that happened in the future. So I think with those few things, that kind of sold me on the season. So like I said before, I go D with it. I'm saying it's a tie with season 1, but for different reasons. But season 2 was by far my favorite. But I like the season. I really did like the season.
Just poor Ashley Stubbs sitting there for years.
Dude, you think he's still sitting there? Because I feel like he got up. I feel like he got
somebody would have to
because the ice melted.
Spray thing.
The ice melted a long time ago.
Right. So he was supposed to keep him from dying was the ice, right?
Look, the only thing missing from this hokey last episode was someone jumping over a Caprice.
And
sliding, shooting. Exactly, dude. Right. That was the only thing missing was somebody doing that, man. It got excessive.
It got over the top. It was over the top.
Can we get Maeve a gun? Like, she can keep the sword, but can we also get her a gun?
Right. She always just showing up with the sword.
Man, she thought Dolores kill all those dudes. At the end, she was kind of like, oh, okay. And just
let me get my sword.
Let me walk down these stairs.
All right. Look, we definitely appreciate everybody for watching our Westworld podcast. We'll definitely be back. We'll have other podcasts like this for other shows that we really like. Please continue to follow us. And if you have any shows you think we should watch, let us know. D?
Definitely. Hey, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at D and Davis Show. Demon's one. That's Davis. Ryan Bukoveski. Hey, keep your hands to yourself.